Hey guys, so today we are checking out the Sigma and RVXX amp sim plugins from Audio Assault. Both of these have had V2 releases this year, so I thought it would be a good chance to put them together in a mix and see what they sound like. So we've now listened to them both in the mix, and what we're going to do is go through each track to see what we've got going on within the amp sim, as well as any post-processing on the tracks. So first up is the guitar left track, and for this we've got Sigma loaded into it. In the stomp section we've got the noise gate engaged, as well as the drive, with the drive at 0, level at full, and the tone just above halfway, about 6. Within the amp itself we've made some minor tweaks to the EQ, just bringing down the mids just a little bit, gain up a bit, treble and presence both up, and then resonance up as well. And then what's really interesting about the Sigma amp is the focus knob here. You can change the tone or character of the amp quite a lot just by moving this back and forth. Then in the cab section we're just using the included cabs that came with Sigma on the left and right channel here, and then we've just mixed between them on the A-B knob just there. And finally no effects for the guitar left channel. So if that bounced down to its own track, that sounds like this. And then moving on to the guitar right track, for this one we're using the RVXX, and stomp section again we're using the gate and the drive in the same settings as the left channel. The amp itself, again, minor tweaks, just pulling the mids down and treble and presence up a bit. Then within the cab section, again using the included cabs and actually using the Sigma 4x12 again on the RVXX, and nothing on the post effects. Worth noting as well, with both of these amp sims you can play around with the input knob to make sure that your guitar signal is going into the sim at the appropriate level. So if that bounced down, then the right channel sounds like this. And then using the left and the right channel together, sounding like this. And then what we've also got going on with the rhythm guitars is a guitar center track, and what's happening on this track is we're using a pitch shifter to drop the notes down an octave, just mixing those in about 40%, going into the Sigma V2, similar settings to what we had before. I think we're just using the boost, not the drive. Cab settings are the same. I think I'll probably just change with the mixes of the cabs. And then that's going into a compressor just to make that a bit more consistent. And then what this is doing is just adding a bit more depth to the rhythm guitars. So all three of those then, the left, right and central tracks, all bounce down together, sound like this. And then just to put those in the context of the rest of the mix, sounding like this. And then just to go through the bus processing that we've got going on for the rhythm track. So the left, right and central tracks are all going through to a bus, and on that bus we've got some compression coming from the Waves CLA 76 just to make the signals a bit more consistent with each other. From there we're going into some EQ with a high pass set to about 90 Hz and a low pass set to about 11k. Taking out some of the frequencies in the higher mids that we don't want, and then just dropping the lower mids a bit as well. In there we've also got the soft tube saturation plugin, which is something new that I've been playing with, and what this does is just add a bit more harmonic saturation or harmonic material to the signal, and in this sense we've got it set to the higher register, and I can sort of show you what that sounds like with and without. So if we have it off first, so you can really hear there what it's doing is just pushing the guitars forward in the mix, and with this being an instrumental track, it's quite important that the guitars are sort of sitting in that forward position. And then the last bit of processing we've got going on the guitar bus is a bit of stereo imaging with the S1 imager set to about 1.3, and that just gives the guitar left and guitar right a bit more width, but we don't want to do it too much as to cause any phase issues. And then going on to the lead channel. So for this one we used the Sigma V2. Generally found that to be a bit smoother for lead guitars. We've got the boost engaged with the noise gate, no drive on this one. And in the amp what we've done is take away more of the bass and as well as more of the mids as well, and lowering the gain. Cabs, we've got the same ones that we had set up for the rhythm tracks, but I think we've just moved the mix from being mainly B over to the A side here with this cab, and then no effects within the plugin for the lead. Then on the bus for the lead track we're going into some compression, same settings as the rhythm guitars, as well as some EQ of a high pass filter up to 150, low pass at about 9000, and taking out a few more of the frequencies in the upper mids. And then that finally is going into a bus which has some reverb in it as well. So the lead sound then on its own sounds like this. Doesn't sound too much on its own, but in the context of the mix it fits in quite nicely. Lastly then, going to our effects guitars. So these are the guitars that you heard at the beginning of the song doing the tremolo picking, as well as during the bridgy mid-latey section. So these have got more delay on them, and we've got some more harmonies, just adding some more depth to the song. So if I play these three tracks together, they sound like this. And then we'll go through into each of them individually. So the track that I've named Tremolo Guitar 1 here is the RVXX on the B channel, with just the gate, no boost or drive engaged, so quite a low gain sound this one. The key difference that we've got here, so it's the same cabs we've used before, the key difference that we've got here in the effects section is that we've got the delay turned on and we've got it synced with the mix at about 40%. And this is the same for the Tremolo Guitar 2 track as well. Same settings, lower gain, same cabs, and same effects as well. And then what these two together are doing is just harmonizing each other, one on the higher octave, one on the lower. And then for the solo guitar, again we're using the Sigma because it's a bit smoother on the lead tones, with the gate and boost engaged. For the amp it's very similar settings to actually the lead guitar, so we're taking out some of the bass. In this instance though, we've added those mids back in, we've reduced the gain, cabs are the same but moved them back over to the A setting, and in the effects we've added the delay, synced it, but super low down in the mix, just sort of about 20%. And that on its own sounds like this. So none of these are particularly loud in the mix, but what they do add along with the rhythm tracks is just a bit more complexity and something that's a bit more interesting to listen to than just the chords. So if I play them in context with the rest of the mix here. So it's nothing too complicated that I'm actually playing in this section, but it does just add some nice sort of alternate harmonies in that section to give it a bit more depth. And then these effects guitars are going into the same bus as the lead channel. So you've got the compressor, the EQ, and then that's going into the reverb. And that's pretty much it for the guitar processing. What else we've going on in the mix is a bass guitar, which is going into the Plugin Alliance Ampeg, which is then going into a compressor and EQ. And we also have a distorted bass, which is going into the Sigma. What we've done for this is take out as much of the bass as possible. So we've got some pre-EQ going in before it even goes into the amp, as well as some post-EQ as well. And the clean bass on its own sounds like this. And then just adding in the distorted bass. And what that distorted bass track does is sort of act as a middle ground between the guitars and the bass, and it really helps to sort of gel the two together. Quickly moving on to the drums then. So for this we are using Get Good Drums One Kit Wonder, the Aggressive Rock Kit. That has all of the processing already built into it, so we don't need to worry about that at all. So then onto our mix buses. So we've already gone through bus 1 and 2, which are guitar buses. We've got a reverb set up for the rhythm guitars, but actually I've turned it off for what we're doing here now, just so we can hear the amps on their own. This is a longer reverb that we've got for the drums and the lead guitars. And then all of those going into our mix bus, which is going into the CLA mix down, everything set to default. And then finally the API 560, which is just adding a bit of top end into the signal and just reducing some low end, which we're getting in there. So that is our mix then, with the Audio Assault Sigma and RVXX amp sims, both available from Audio Assault's website, and they often have sales, so you can pick these two up for really cheap. I got them for $7 each, and for the money you're paying, you can't really find better amp sims for modern hard rock and metal. They both come with a load of cabs and effects, which is really good, but they work equally well with any third-party IRs that you've got, and you can load those into the cab sections here as well. So yeah, that's everything from me. I hope you found this useful. It's really fun to play around with these two plugins and get some different sounds from them. And yeah, we'll see you next time.